Welcome, Ahmed, and thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to share and tell us how Boxy HQ has helped you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great to learn some more about what you do, but also then how Boxy has helped you. So to get us started, let's just do that. Tell us a bit more about yourself and tell us about Effortless Solutions.
Yes, sure. My name is Ahmed al and I'm the founder of Effortless Solutions. We are a no-code agency, and our mission is to empower everyone to build software applications. Our mission also is to revolutionize the way businesses create, deploy, maintain, and manage their software applications. Our target customers mainly for now, they are in Europe and the United States. So actually, in order to just give some context about our use case and how we started implementing Boxy HQ at one of our customers and why we did that, just to give some context, I would like to say that first, it was mainly driven by a request from one of our customers in Netherlands. So I would like also to talk about Europe. Whenever you think about Europe, you should think about laws and regulations, and of course data security. So that's how you should think about it. So, well, actually, laws and regulations here in Europe, they are very strict, and they are applied on anyone and on any organization of whatever level or whatever scale. So when it comes to security, this is not a luxury here. It's not the topic that anyone would like to overhead. So this is briefly our use case, and I will leave you ask me any questions you might have, or any, I would say, any details you might would like to know from me.
Yeah, that's great. It's true, right? European law is getting quite heavy on tech, but I think there's a good reason for that, right? It does make it difficult for small businesses, and startups and stuff like that. But I think in the long term, hopefully, this will be beneficial to everybody and then also to end users. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think you kind of touched on this, but if you want to dig into it a little bit more, like what was your motivation for implementing enterprise SSO in general? And then we'll get into how you found Boxy after that.
Okay, that's great. So first, we have one of our customers here in Europe, in Netherlands mainly. I'm based in France, but my customer or our customer is in Netherlands, and his customer is in Netherlands as well. Our customer has a software as a service application, which is developed on top of Bubble platform. And this software as a service application, it has many enterprise customers where employees log in and they do their work and their stuff on the application. So actually, the requirement was driven by one of my customers who had the Microsoft Intra ID as their identity provider, and they wanted also the application of my customer to be seamlessly integrated into their existing infrastructure. This means that they have their system engineering team that controls the identity, the authentication, and they control everything when it comes to the authentication and the authorization, even to specific resources and applications from within Microsoft Intra ID. They wanted the software as a service application to follow the same rules and regulations internally, and to seamlessly integrate with their identity provider Microsoft Intra ID. So they communicated with my customer, asking him that they would like to have their SSO, their application, the software as a service application, integrated into their Microsoft Intra ID in order to provide the employees or the users with a seamless, I would say, seamless user experience. It means that they would like to minimize the time consumed by each employee to enter passwords for different applications. This is not their objective at all. So this was the motivation. This was why we started to look for an SSO enterprise application.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect use case, and that makes so much sense. Like, I think it's one of the aspects about single sign-on that people don't always realize is, over and above the enhanced security, it's that user experience thing, right? Where you literally you log in one place, you get access to all your company's applications that you're supposed to have access to at the level you're supposed to have access to. So yeah, that's great. This is like a perfect use case. So with that, so now you knew you needed SSO, you needed to do that integration with Microsoft and all that. And so what factors led you to choose Boxy HQ, but then also how did you find Boxy HQ?
Well, actually, we have been looking for an SSO solution provider for a while, and we didn't find so many vendors or so many players in this area. Especially that we have already our Bubble application that is already in production. It has many customers, so I would say that we wanted an SSO solution and also that integrates not only with Microsoft Entra ID but also integrates with Bubble application seamlessly, because we didn't want to go through the hassle of building plugins and or adopting the wrong plugin or the wrong solution. So actually what we did is that we studied the plugins that are there in the market, and we have finally selected Boxy HQ. This was due to many reasons. Number one, we have read about the feedback and the reviews about the customers from the customers of Boxy HQ. Number two, I have personally evaluated the product by myself, and I found out that it's first, I like the fact that it's open source, and personally I appreciate what the open source community is doing in general. This is number one. Number two, this will help my customer to avoid any vendor lock-in. This means that they have the freedom to choose, the freedom to change at any point of time, since it's an open source and free solution. So why not adopt it, especially if it meets all the security requirements? So that's great. This is number two. Number three, if it meets their enterprise security needs, this would be great. Number four, from our side at Effortless Solutions, we needed it to be integrated seamlessly with Bubble, so we have evaluated the plugin. We found that the plugin itself is free, and I found that Boxy HQ has implemented it end to end. This means that when it comes to the Bubble plugin, it's there and it's free. When it comes to hosting the solution itself, well, it's hosted on top of Boxy HQ software as a service application. And by the way, I have gone through the documentation, I have seen the configuration before I do anything, and I found that, well, it's doable. It sounds clear and straightforward to the point. If this works like that, this would be amazing. And I even expected that it would be deployed within few days. Personally, I expected that before we even go into the implementation. And after the Boxy HQ software as a service, I would talk about the integration with multiple identity providers. Boxy HQ software as a service, I have read that it not only integrates with Microsoft Entra ID, but it integrates as well with many other identity providers. But for me, I cared about Microsoft Entra ID only. So I found that you have implemented it end to end, and based on the reviews and feedback and what I saw, I evaluated the product in advance. Well, I said, why not let me give it a shot?
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, no, that's great. I agree. The fact that we're open source based just opens up so many opportunities, and I think just from a like security standardization perspective, like we benefit from the knowledge of the commons, right? As they say, so the knowledge of the community that comes in and says like, hey, we've tried this thing and we ran into this, and here is a fix for it, or even just reporting it so that we can then address it, right? So I think that open source angle is great for you in the sense that it gives you freedom, and for your client because it avoids lock-in. But then at the same time, it builds on this like almost standard that we can kind of start defining as a community of what a really good SSO implementation would look like. So with that in mind, whenever one adopts anything like this, you get like direct benefits from it, but then there's these soft benefits, these secondary benefits, and I think you kind of started hinting at that with your last answer. So if you can maybe unpack some of the direct benefits you've seen, but then also more like the second order soft benefits that you've seen while implementing.
Yes, that's a good question, really. Well, first, if I will talk about the benefits, well, I might have already touched them, but I will mention the seamless integration. This was very important for us to seamlessly integrate with the customer's existing infrastructure and with minimal effort from the customer side, because this is not my customer, this is my customer's customer. So there's no chance to go through, I would say, complexities or have hard times implementing something and integrating it and tracing it. Well, I don't have this kind of control. I have very good relations with my customer, and he has good relations with his customer, but I would like to maintain these relationships. So the seamless integration was number one. Number two, it's the functionality itself and the security, of course, meeting security standards and so on. And I would mention again with the minimal effort, simply because the system engineering or the IT team at the customer himself, they are not dedicated for us. So this is beside their work. We are for them, we're just an application. So they don't have the time and the resources to allocate for, I would say, for us in order to get a solution up and running. Number three, which was very important, it's the speed of implementation. We didn't want to go through an implementation for months in order to implement SSO at the customer side. So the time saving, it was very important and it was very clear for us, simply because the solution itself is very easy to be adopted. The ease of adoption was the main reason for us to choose Boxy HQ. And this is what we saw when we checked out the documentation, the solution end to end. Well, we expected that it would have been implemented in a matter of days, and that's what happened. Finally, I would talk about the streamlined and secured authentication process that we offered to the customer from the first time we deployed to the production. By the way, I personally, I asked for a test user from the customer side in order to test in the development environment. But we at Effortless Solutions, we didn't have access to the production. So they gave us a test user, and we had to be 100% sure that what we will do here, it will work well or smoothly on the production environment. And this is what happened. So we succeeded from the first time in the production deployment, and that was great. Also, I would like to mention finally that my customer himself, when he saw that his customer system engineering team was not suffering when it came to the implementation and the deployment of an SSO solution in their existing infrastructure, my customer was very satisfied. He sent me a message, and the founder sent me a message, and he told me, I'm really happy that it really went that smooth. So this was amazing for us, simply because customer satisfaction is our top priority. So without our customers, for any service provider, without your customers, you will not be there. So the customer satisfaction should be the top priority for any software services provider. So actually, this helps me maintain excellent relationships and capitalize on this. These are the benefits that I might think of.
Amazing. And I mean, it like speaks exactly to your name, right? Like effortless solutions, and it feels like Boxy has become part of what you offer, and it's effortless solution, much like the name of your company.
Yes, that's right. Yes, totally agree. Yes.
So you did mention like the time saving, right? Is there a way that you can kind of put a number on that? Like you said, you couldn't take months, but if you had to kind of spitball even maybe, how much time do you think this saved you by finding like Boxy HQ and the integration with Bubble and all of that stuff?
Well, to be honest, we don't prefer to reinvent the wheel. This means that internally we prefer to check out what solutions exist, and if there are any gaps, we will fill these gaps if needed. But if the solution is already there, why do I have to reinvent the wheel? Well, I have to rely on other software services providers. They are our partners. I believe that we needn't go we needn't always compete together. Sometimes we have to cooperate together. At the end of the day, it's for the benefit of the customer himself. So if our customers are satisfied, if your customer is satisfied, if my customer is satisfied, we all win, we all benefit. So internally, if we checked out what's there, if there is an end-to-end solution that might save us time and effort and make us avoid the decision of developing an internal in-house SSO solution that integrates with Microsoft Entra ID, well, and we found out that it's there. In terms of the time and the efforts and the resources, the human resources saved, I would say that this was huge, because we would have taken a path that I would personally estimate that it would go for months. And rather than that, we avoided this through a rapid deployment of a ready-made, off-the-shelf solution, and it's open source and giving the customer the freedom to choose and to change whenever he wants in a matter of days. So that's amazing.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And I mean, over and above all of that, I think it's just you were in a uniquely complicated situation because I've been there in implementations as well, where you work with a client who's as a client, and that client at the end of the stream is like kind of like, I don't want to know anything, just make it happen and make it happen quick. And you're like, oh, so and there's also the man in the middle problem, not in a hacking sense, but in a like every time it jumps, a tail gets added or something gets lost in the communication. So having that additional complexity here and still being able to deliver this on time and with as little hassle as possible, I think it speaks a lot to your competency and Effortless Solutions' competency in doing these kinds of projects, but then also in how Boxy HQ can be a partner in facilitating this.
Yes, that's right. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. To be honest, the last thing we wanted is the back and forth communication. So we tried to make it to the minimum as possible. The number of mails, we were counting them. Well, are we sure that this is all we need from the customer side? Because we don't want to send many emails and then just ask for an XML file and then another parameter somewhere in Microsoft Entra ID. We studied it internally very well before communicating to the customer, and it went well, and that's great.
Yeah, so you've signed your first customer, as you mentioned, and this is now in place with Bubble. But you also mentioned the fact that you're also not limited to using Bubble. There's also other integration options there, and there's other IDPs that are supported. So with this in mind, let's dream a little bit. Let's look to the future. How do you see all this work that you've now done, and now the fact that you've done a successful deployment, how do you see this play into the future growth and prospects of Effortless Solutions?
That's a great question. Well, first, let me talk about the platforms that exist already now in the no-code industry in general, where you will find that they are trying to comply with the security requirements before being proposed to enterprise customers. And already there are some platforms that have now in place their SOC 2 compliance. So they are, in order to be able to penetrate the enterprises, they have to comply with such security requirements. In terms of Boxy HQ, well, I don't expect personally that we as Effortless Solutions, whenever we communicate with any lead or any prospect, an enterprise, that they will avoid asking me about the SSO. Most probably, they will ask me about SSO in first place and about the security measurements, and they will read about our privacy policy, because, as I said, in Europe, laws and regulations they are very important and they are applied on anyone and on any enterprise of any size. And maybe you have read about the fine that has been applied on Meta last year in 2023. It was a record in terms of fines, $1.3 billion of fine by the European Union due to the transfer of European data of Facebook users' data to the United States. So only because they didn't comply in this part and they didn't keep the data for the European citizens in Europe, they paid $1.3 billion. So I think that when it comes to security, well, this is not the topic that anyone would like to mess with.
So essentially, Boxy HQ is alleviating a lot of that, but also it means that with any future customers you work, this topic is obviously going to come up, and now you have a ready-made solution that you can deploy in literally days.
Yes, I have already implemented it once, and we can propose it and we can talk about it confidently, and that's very important because a few months ago, well, we were reading about Boxy HQ, but today we have already implemented it. We didn't receive any single issue after the deployment of Boxy HQ in the production environment of our customer. And also one thing that I would like to mention finally, and this is just to thank each and every one who worked with us during the implementation of Boxy HQ, it's the responsiveness. I really like this. We had an issue during the implementation on the development environment. We checked it out and we submitted the error itself to Boxy HQ support team and development team on Friday. And on Friday they replied by an email mentioning that we could reproduce the issue in our environment and we will solve it and get back to you. So that's great. On Monday, the issue was resolved, and they told me that we have just deployed a new version of the plugin so you can test. And when I tested, it worked really well. So I like this kind of responsiveness, this support, because this gives confidence not only to your customers, but also for other partners that might be willing to work with you. Because for us, we might be a customer for you, but for me, you are my partner. I rely on you when it comes to the security needs of any enterprise. So this kind of confidence makes me choose Boxy HQ and makes me talk with any enterprise confidently that, I have a partner, I can rely on them because I have a positive experience with them myself. So that's really great, and that's something that I would like to thank each and every one who contributed in this.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ahmed. I really appreciate that. That's lovely. Great. So, yeah, thanks again so much for taking some time out of your day to share your story and to speak so eloquently about it. I'm super happy that we could have been there in the moment when you needed the services, and that when you hit a snag, we were there and we were able to support you. I agree that even though it's customer and all this kind of thing, in the end of the day, we're partners supporting one another to build successful businesses. Talking about successful businesses, in conclusion, do you want to tell us how people can find Effortless Solutions and how you can help them?
Well, actually, we are, as I mentioned, we are a no-code agency. We are specialized in the no-code industry, which is gaining some familiarity here in Europe and the United States, much more than in the Middle East and Africa. But I think that these markets will follow. For now, we are focusing on in Europe and in the United States. Of course, these are our markets, and especially in Europe, since I'm based here in France. So I'm talking to customers, and when I mention the ROI, the return of investment, and the flexibility it offers, whether to individuals without any technical background, and the potential they can reach without having any technical background, and the enterprises as well who might be thinking of having custom software solutions, but they are really not very confident because of the reputation of developing in-house or custom software solutions, simply because they take long time and the total cost of ownership is really high and they might resist it. Well, when it comes after all this investment, when it comes to the user adoption, they might find that not all users are satisfied with the custom software built, so they might find some resistance and they might need some kind of change management and so on. So the cycle itself is long and complicated, and it requires dedication, time and effort and investment. For enterprises, they might prefer going to enterprise solutions not because they are the best and not because they perfectly fit or meet the requirements 100%, but just to avoid the long cycle of the software development. I might agree with them that this was valid only until few years ago. But now, if I would say that we at Effortless Solutions, we can overcome all these obstacles when it comes to time, effort, and even the feedback of the users and the time it takes to apply modifications and so on, if it's instant and very rapid. Well, I think that with such powerful capabilities in their hands, well, I think that there are no excuses for them.
Well said. Well, thank you again, Ahmed, and thank you for choosing Boxy HQ, and we wish you all of the success for the future.
Thank you, Shaq. Thank you for having me today. Thanks for your time. Wish you all the success as well. Thank you.